guys, with the legendary John Bachmann, one of the founders, one of the forefathers, one of the would across the Potomac, for InsurTech back in the day. Thanks for coming on, John. I'm excited to hear about your book. I'm excited to catch up about the transition to the agency world. How are you, sir?
I'm doing awesome, but man, you are way too kind. Forefather, are you out of your mind? It's just little old me here.
So, I got licensed in 14. I think I had my first real insurance job maybe 2017. But I think of Tony, Nick, Carly were kind of like my intro, and then I put you right there, like right behind them in terms of like and then I know the Ask Kodiak guys, Chris Sheedham. I want to say Rich Genius. I always mess up his. They were there ahead of us, Broker Lift. But yeah, you were right there in the beginning, man. You're one of the OGs. You and Amber Willett, I think, was right there too.
Yeah, no, yeah. Amber was awesome. It was so cool partnering up with her on the nerdery. But yeah, you mentioned Nick, Tony, and Carly. I see them as like the holy trinity up there.
But of our house, I always joke that it's almost like Harry Potter. Like there's different houses. Like there's the Coverdale house. There's a few other nodes. But of the, I think we would be, maybe we're Hufflepuff. I don't know. Are we cool enough to be? What's Harry Potter's house? That's the better one.
Yeah, we're definitely not Slytherin.
Yeah, we're not Slytherin. We shouldn't claim anybody is. But anyways, welcome, dude, and congrats on the book. That's awesome.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. It's something that's been kicking around up here for many years, and finally, Chris Stanley over at IAPath, he pushed me both hands in the back and said, "Will you get this done already?" And thankfully enough, he actually published for me too. So
phenomenal.
I collaborated with him in the past, and it was just a great partnership together. But to launch my first book like that with him, I couldn't be more excited, man.
No, heck yeah. So the Successful Adjusters Playbook, I'll have the links in there. As an agent, as a broker, I believe in kind of frontline underwriting, getting out there, seeing the risk, know what you're putting on the book, so sleep well at night. The adjusters seem like that on steroids. It's so crazy to think about. You guys are or adjusters are where the rubber meets the road, where insurance actually does the thing it's supposed to, knock on wood, and provides the value. But yeah, maybe, some experiences or maybe some, things that got you excited to write the book, some lessons you're hoping to lend to the up and comers. Yeah.
Well, I think you nailed it there. Is we forget of what we're selling as agents or even direct writers of what is an insurance policy. And all it is a promise that the claims people, yes, those claims people are the ones that are going to help out when the shit hits the fan. Who's going to help me put the pieces to my life back together? It's those adjusters. And it took me a little bit. So I didn't become so passionate about claims early in my career, shockingly enough. It took a little bit, and it took some powerful claims that I dealt with. But I learned to have this passion for it. And unfortunately, I don't think it's that prevalent out there. All too often we think as claims is that they're the low-level guys or gals that are trying to work their way up to some other part within the insurance ecosystem. But I want people to say, you know what, never mind insurance being a career destination, being an adjuster, being in claims, that should be the career destination. And really that's what got me thinking all about this. And I know I'm going long-winded here. The idea behind the book here was there's a lot of resources for technical skills. There's plenty of things that you can go out there. Even Chris Stanley with IAPath is one that you can get it online, you can do in person, but nobody's talking about the interpersonal skills. What's so often is called soft skills, which I hate that term because they're some of the hardest skills out there. There aren't enough people talking about that. And really that's the genesis behind this book of how do we interact with the other humans, helping them through their worst time.
No, that's huge. As we fear InsurTech, as we fear digitalization and everything else, it's still going to be people, that are connected and solving the biggest problems. I think if anything, all that tech is just going to get us to connect more. It's going to take care of that back end paperwork more. It's going to be the emotional support. And I know insurance gets a hard time. I know claims gets a hard time, but the few times I've been rear-ended, they took care of me. The one time I was hit on the freeway, the guy took off. I had uninsured motorist taken care of, relatively painlessly. That's why I enjoy being around it. as a guy who played too many sports, grew up with brothers, gambling, going to Vegas, whatever else, I think I ended up in sales because it kind of caught my attention. I feel like even claims would be another level of that, in terms of just you're in the weeds every day and it's something different, something exciting, something that grabs your attention.
And it's something new every day. Yeah, you go from, well, you got to investigate. So those people that wanted to be policemen or detectives, policewomen, and do that thing, there's so much investigation that goes on. And even on the run-of-the-mill claims, never mind those
What do you mean?
crazy.
Everyone's straightforward. Everyone tells you what happened and what they need just to get back to whole, right? There's no, why do you have to read between the lines? I'm not sure what's going on there, John.
No, I'll be honest. Hey, even a simple property claim, you got to investigate what that property is like, whether that's taking a look at satellite photos, measuring it out. There's an investigation. But those potentially fraudulent claims, those are the ones where you really dig in. And I remember way back when having to schedule surveillance for claims and stuff like that too, and really understand what's going on. But that's one aspect. And then there's the aspect of the rebuilds. If it's a property claim or the bent metal on an auto, if you're passionate about carpentry or things like that, or even on the auto side, you're passionate about cars and fixing up cars, there's that aspect of it. And then there's the people piece. You're negotiating with all kinds of people, whether it be attorneys, public adjusters, the direct customers that you're dealing with. It's different every day, and every claim is different. So yeah, it's crazy to think that people think, one, insurance is boring, and then two, that claims is boring. It's certainly not.
Yeah, I'm biased as I have, loads of London behind me. Yeah, no, it's a strange little thing, and I think it's really cool, what you've been able to do there and how you're helping people get ready for the next part of their career. And we want to highlight, kind of put the book up front. We'll get people to that. But I know you've made a big transition recently too. You've came over to the dark side, the agency side. You're out there,
yeah,
where the rubber meets the road right now. If you don't mind, if it's cool, what's your next chapter up to? What are you up to on that side?
It's about grinding and binding. That's what
Cool.
it's all about here at the agency. Yeah, so I was so excited. So during COVID, it got to a point where I realized, hey, all that time when I was traveling all over the country with my last gig, is I'm not getting that time back with my kids. So I was looking to do something locally, and I've been connected with all the superstars on the agency side for the past several years.
Well, because you are a superstar, like attracts like,
Yeah, but I'm talking with Hanley, talking with Paradiso. They've been telling me for years, go the agency side, open up shop, and
Yeah.
it's tough with a young family to go scratch. Thankfully, agency owner Brian, we struck up a friendship a few years ago. We met at a conference I was speaking at, and we were always chatting on the side of what it might look like if I came on, and timing was right. And he's like, "What do you think?" And I said, "Let's do it."
It's so cool to do that from the claim side too, because you see the purpose of the paper. You see why we put out what we put out, why a type of policy matters, what we're there to do, on the care side. And I think that is so cool to bring that to kind of the business development side. Then you're not just chasing numbers or a quota. You're like trying to put good policies in place and understand like the longevity of this game. That's awesome, man. Congratulations on,
Thanks,
parlaying some of the experience forward. That's cool.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy to me? I'm thinking about it is it's a huge differentiator. I can talk about, hey, in this scenario, I remember what it was like when that woman was crying because there wasn't coverage because things weren't set up right, or in this situation, why somebody was covered so well that they were protected. And it actually surprises me and blows my mind that there aren't more people jumping over from the claim side to the sales side. Because it is a differentiator that most people on the sales side never dealt on the claim side. They don't know what happens day in and day out on all of those claims. And I think if the claims adjusters out there, they can parlay it right, man, they could kill it on the agency side.
I'll even say vice versa. If you're burnt out running after quota, if you don't have your own shingle and you want to kind of mix it up, don't you get to kind of self-navigate your course on the claim side a little bit too? Like, aren't there all sorts of different, you can go for a carrier, you can go independent, you can go catastrophic. So if you feel cooped up and you want to get out of your cubicle or you don't have a sales setup you're loving too, who knows, maybe the IA path can scratch that, adventure itch too.
Yeah, there's so many different paths, and then you can get super niched out too. Like you do classic cars, you do heavy autos, you do churches, and then there's others like the copyright infringement liability.
That's
That could be
crazy.
your
Yeah.
niche. Be tricky, but yeah, there's so many opportunities on the claim side to work your little niche together there.
That's cool, man. No, I love that. I love that the industry. It's so funny. Patrick Kloss from MGV is the one who kind of illuminated this for me. Like it's a $7 trillion industry, and we get distracted by the big numbers. But it's a lot of like little things, and it's a lot of little roles. It's a lot of little value adds. But I can see claims and sales being pretty close in terms of having to get out there and mix it up with the general public. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
that's cool, man.
Like that's where we're interacting. There's so
Mhm.
much within the insurance companies and carriers where it's not customer facing, but on the front lines with the agents, with the adjusters, that you're dealing with, you can't get any closer with the
Yeah.
customer in those two interactions.
Well, I always joke that as an agent, you're translating like insurance to people and people to insurance. You're kind of the middleman helping the logic crossover. And on the claim side, I'm sure it's the exact same thing. This happened, we can take care of this way because of this thing in your policy. Unfortunately, you didn't have this thing, talk to your agent.
Well, that's the tough thing. So the policies, for many different reasons, are awfully complicated. There's a lot of legalese, but that's because of all the court cases that came out of it. And
I'm in California. I know nothing about litigious society. I'm not sure what you're talking about, John.
Stop cutting those tags off your mattresses there in California.
Yeah, right.
But it's so complicated that even people that have years of insurance experience, it's tough to read through those policies or understand specific components. And that's why you got people like Bill Wilson, who are experts in different areas of it. It's difficult. So you need a translator, for lack of a better word. And that's why agents are so important on the front end to explain why there's coverage, why there isn't coverage, why you might need different coverages. And then the adjuster on the back end, they're dealing with the policy and applying what the policy actually means in the real world.
No, totally. And we had talked before, and you had mentioned how like claims people are trying to pay claims, regardless of like the reputation that's out there.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, like they're trying to get people back together. They're trying to see what they can do within the policy, take care of people. And I had that experience during the hit and run where they're like, oh yeah, you had uninsured, motorist, uninsured motorist. We got you, and you could tell there was a little bit light on their side. No, we got you covered. I was a little dummy and I tried to like chase down the car to go get the license plate. So yeah, don't do that. I learned my lesson. This is before I was an insurance agent,
No, but you bring up a good point. Is the reputation out there is that, the big bad insurance company, they don't want to pay the claims. But I think it's a false perception. And anybody that actually goes through a claim and has a legitimate claim, they often say, no, they did everything they could to help me out. Even the people that, okay, the claim was denied. All right, I understand why it was denied. I'm not happy about it, but I get what they were trying to help me out here. I think we got to spread that story a little better in our industry, because the companies they're trying to pay what people are owed when they're owed that amount of money. So it's a tough perception.
I hope this is fair to say. I won't name names or anything, but if you go strictly price driven and kind of anonymous, you better cross your T's, dot your I's. It needs to be synced up. A lot of those bigger carriers, the more legacy names, they're trying to keep a good reputation too. I know that's like a big generality, and I'm sure there's gaps, but that's how I've seen it so far. And then you have to kind of remember what it's for too. Sudden accidental loss, not necessarily. If things are depreciating over time.
We used to say it all the time. It's not a home maintenance policy.
Yeah,
that's not what it's about.
I had an insured who checked in about the bricks kind of falling off their house a little bit, and I was like, hey, we can't really help you out there, unfortunately. But if a tree branch fell, and then you get in those sticky conversations of, well, what if bricks keep falling off and the wall collapses? Whose fault is that?
Well, it depends upon the policy. Let's dig in a little bit and see how that.
Yeah. So that's the fun side. But no, I'm thrilled for you, man, to be hopping on the sales side of everything. That's gonna be great. Yeah,
it's been wild so far. Still, obviously, like every day in the insurance industry, learning so much and just trying to learn enough right now, and we've been doing some crazy things here. We just had a big event this past weekend in our local community. We have another one this weekend coming up. So a lot of cool things going on, and I love that piece of it too. The community. We mentioned Paradiso earlier. I don't think there's anybody more in tune with his community around the country than he is. And if I could be a tenth of what he does, I'd be jacked up. I was actually at one of his events in June with my family, and we stepped back, and it was around the time we were making this decision. And I said, this is what I'd like to do. And she looked at me, she goes, yeah, we could do this.
I'll give a shout out to the guy who I hung my shingle with first, a guy named Gary Remlin in Orange, real active with a charity, like almost is like Mayor's Kitchen, is active with the Chamber of Commerce. There's like almost like a statesman, even just for his community, and just, second generation insurance shop. That's huge. And that is a really cool part of being a good producer, kind of knowing the people you're taking care of. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I remember when COVID first hit, and seeing the old 5 a.m. club. They were scrambling, trying to get ready. And what all of their customers were doing, because they were so embedded in their communities, all of the customers and community members, customers or not, they were reaching out to the agent to find out what's going on here, what's going on, because the insurance agent in the community is tapped in with whether it be the local commerce, the local government. There's so much tied in that the insurance agent turns out to be the mayor for the most part, and they're the first point of contact of when things are going bad. Who do I need to reach out to, and why not my insurance agent? They're tapped in.
Yeah, I need to do a little better job of that. I have my like broker brews niche, my sales buddies, but I think like the general public too, that'd be cool to kind of triangulate a little better. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the same thing. I was on a call earlier today. There's a local outfit that they help out entrepreneurs from when they have an idea for a new business, from when they're starting out, and when they start rocking and rolling. And they teach them everything from like the accounting, the financing, the real in the weeds. And I said, how can I partner up? Because insurance is something that they're struggling with. And I'm trying to do the same thing there too. So I might be their insurance go-to.
There we go, man. See. No, absolutely. And if they have a claim, they know who to go to as well for some advice.
Hopefully no claims. See,
yeah, exactly.
We don't like seeing claims either. Yeah, we'll be there to help out. But
that's funny. But yeah, man, I'm excited to check out the book. Where can I find it? Is it for sale already, or how do I get a hold of a copy?
It came out last week, actually. It's successfuladjustersplaybook.com. That brings you to the book site. You can find it in all kinds of formats: soft cover, hardcover, which I didn't realize, and then audio, and then the ebook too. The audio book, I actually narrated it, and
that's cool.
For those folks that are lucky enough to get it, you might even hear me sing on it too. So you'll have to buy it to hear it.
I actually think I'll chase down the audiobook. I've been bad lately. I need to sit down with more like real hard, or softback books. But yeah, I tend to eat up a lot of audiobooks. So I'll grab that download there. But
awesome.
But yeah, man, no, I appreciate you sharing the time. I'm excited. We'll have to record a third episode in a while and talk about, your first year on the sales side, lessons learned and all that good stuff too. But, congrats again on the book, man. Looking forward to checking out and, learning more about claims.
Thanks, man. I'm excited about getting it out there. I've been talking to a lot of people about it over several years, and I'm glad it finally got it put together. Had a lot of help with it too. I can't name them all now because I'd miss somebody, but a lot of people helped out with it. Yeah, they're listed in the book. So
very cool. Out. Yeah, no, it's no easy feat. As somebody who may have dinked around a little bit, like it's putting together a book, writing a book is a quasi Herculean effort, especially on the first one. I'd have to imagine, nobody's there like clapping you on in the middle of the night or early in the morning,
Yeah, those 4 a.m.s of trying to pull that together, and then reading it on the audiobook.
Yeah.
Audiobooks are hard when you have a family, or when it's a good time to record. So 3 a.m. is usually my sweet spot.
Yeah, I'll have to bug you and Brian if I ever cross that threshold for some advice. File check. I know he's kind of done that a few times, but good stuff, man. We'll definitely get the notes out there and look forward to checking out the book.
So appreciate you, my friend. Thanks for having me on.
Likewise, brother. Thanks, guys.